A day inside a fine art photography studio. When people think about photography, they often imagine the moment the shutter clicks. The camera rises, the image is captured, and a photograph is created. But what many people do not see is everything that happens before that moment. Because a fine art photograph rarely begins with the camera, it begins with preparation. A photography studio early in the morning is often quiet. The lights are off, the backdrop stands empty, the equipment waits silently. At first glance, it may not look like a place where creativity happens. But creativity often begins in stillness. Long before a subject arrives, photographers are already making decisions. They are thinking about mood, about atmosphere, about the emotional tone they want the images to communicate. Sometimes the concept is clear from the beginning. Other times it exists only as a vague idea waiting to be discovered. This uncertainty is a natural part of the creative process. Many people assume professional photographers always know exactly what they are going to create. In reality, some of the strongest images emerge through exploration, not certainty. As the day begins, lighting equipment is adjusted, modifiers are moved, test shots are taken, small changes are made again and again. A few inches can completely transform the character of light. A slight adjustment can change the emotional feeling of an image. This attention to detail may seem insignificant from the outside, but in photography, details matter. Because photography is often the art of noticing things that others overlook. Then comes the arrival of the subject. And with that arrival, the studio changes. The energy changes. What was once a technical space becomes a human space. Conversation begins. Introductions are made. Ideas are discussed. Questions are answered. Trust begins to form. This part of the process rarely appears in finished photographs. Viewers never see it, but photographers understand that some of the most important work happens before a single image is captured. A camera records appearance, but trust influences expression, and expression is often what people remember most. As the session progresses, there is a constant balance between planning and adaptation. A pose that seemed perfect in theory may feel unnatural in reality. A lighting setup that looked beautiful during testing may suddenly feel wrong. This is where flexibility becomes essential. Great photographers do not force every idea to succeed. They observe, they adjust, they respond. Photography is not only about execution, it is also about listening. Listening to the environment, listening to the subject, listening to the unexpected moments that emerge during the process. Often the most memorable photographs are not the ones that were carefully planned. They are the ones that appeared unexpectedly. A brief expression, a natural movement, a moment of genuine reflection. These moments cannot be manufactured completely, but they can be recognized, and recognizing them is one of the most valuable skills a photographer can develop. As the day continues, hundreds of images may be created, perhaps even thousands, but experienced photographers know something important. The success of a session is not measured by quantity. It is measured by meaning. One powerful image can be worth more than 100 ordinary ones. This is why editing and image selection become such important parts of the process. The creative work does not end when the session ends. In many ways, another stage begins. Photographers review their images carefully, looking beyond technical quality, looking for emotion, connection, authenticity, the image that feels alive. Eventually, the lights are turned off, the equipment is packed away, the studio becomes quiet again. But the photographs remain, and each photograph carries with it the memory of a process that most viewers never see. A process built on preparation, experimentation, communication, patience, and creativity. Because a day inside a fine art photography studio is not simply about taking pictures. It is about creating the conditions that allow meaningful photographs to exist. And sometimes, that unseen process is just as beautiful as the final image itself.